Welcome into the ESPN FC studios. Great to have you with us. We got Craig Burley, Paul Mariner, Hercules Gomez, Stevie Nichols, Sebastian Salazar here on the couch. Guys, we have just witnessed the Confederations Cup semifinal between Germany and Mexico. As a fan of El Tri, it was a tough watch, I'll say. And it was a tough watch very quickly. Goals in the 6th and 8th minute for Leon Goretzka, and it was pretty much over after that. Germany went up 3-0 at about the hour mark. Marco Fabian with a great goal, very end of the game, to make it 3-1 before Germany added another final score 4-1 as Germany advances to the Confederations Cup final against Chile. All right, so let's see what El Tri manager Juan Carlos Osorio had to say after the match. I'm sure it's enlightening. Quote, "I think the result was unfair. I believe that we deserved more. We were on the front foot and we had chances to score," I'm sorry, I'm not laughing, 2 or 3. No references to how many chances the Germans had to score. Craig, I guess I will reluctantly start with you.
A lot of pain in your voice.
Yeah, that was not a highlight for me.
Deluded man sent out to do Mexican press conference. Quote. I mean, what a nonsense.
Yeah.
Seriously, this is a bad day for Mexican football and the Mexican national team. Because we were talking about it before. This is probably a mix of the German B and C team, right? As good as players as these are, that was a schooling Mexico got from this German side. And Jogi Löw. It was embarrassing how easy this was for the German B/C team. And I think it's a hell of a bad day for where Mexico are in world football.
Paul, Stevie, you guys have been on the managerial end of this. Is he in spin mode now, or do you think he actually believes that it was an unfair result?
Well, whenever I've seen Osorio put his teams out, I've always been frustrated with him because he doesn't seem to be consistent. I think he thinks that he has a very, very good squad. And we can clearly see that he doesn't. And I would like to see him just put out his strongest side all the time, because this was a so-called strong side today that he put out. And Germany, even though the possession stat doesn't say so, Germany, as far as cutting edge is concerned, they were light years ahead of this Mexican side.
This more an indictment on Mexico, or something to be said about Germany? Give me something.
This from Osorio.
Oh, you're getting something. I mean, don't you worry.
This from Osorio is, I hope some of my bosses fall for this patter, because that's all it is. There is no way you can get annihilated the way they did, and you're sitting on the sideline watching it, and you're telling me you still think you have a good team, and you were unlucky, and you could have scored 2 or 3. I mean, come on. This is a cry to his bosses.
As a coach,
please don't get rid of me.
As a coach, is this maybe a message to your players? Are you trying to give them something maybe to hang on to, saying, hey, 2 or 3 chances, you put him away, it's a different game? You think he's going about it that way?
Well, you could say that about every game ever played in the history of
soccer. This is why we do this.
Here's the thing. Hey, when you're a player, right, you know better than anybody when you've been on the field and you've been annihilated like that. So regardless of what anybody outside the field says, you're not even listening to it, because you know you were outplayed by a better team and we're just not that good.
I completely agree with that.
If the coach comes out with that statement, he loses the players immediately, because you cannot take a guy like that seriously. If he really thinks that they were in this game today, he's lost his players.
Right, but let's... The coach will take the brunt, right? But let's kind of swing it away here and get to the crux of this, right? And I've said it to you boys on the couch before. This result has happened because Mexico, at this standard of football, are bang average. And they're top of the hex. No, this is what...
Stop.
They're top of the hex, but you keep telling me it's tough.
Every time. We're not talking about Group F and European qualification, Malta and Scotland.
But you don't understand.
It's very simple.
Every time Mexico plays a good team, they get battered.
Every time.
Pretty much every time they get battered.
They played Portugal and held their own.
Let me just say one thing. You got
European champions.
I want to hear this. I want to hear this. I want to hear where you're going.
Let me just say, you got upset by this.
No.
When I talk about the hex...
I just want to be objective. We're not talking about the hex.
I'll give you objective. I said the top of the hex, and effectively the hex has 4 teams out of 6 that qualify. 3 guaranteed, and then a playoff against a weaker nation. So, 3.5. What's difficult to understand? You keep going back to European competition. What is difficult to understand between 3 out of 6 and 1 out of 5?
It's the same level. Wherever you go, it's bad, there's good. It doesn't mean anything.
What's the difference between 3 out of 6 qualifying and 1 out of 5?
That means nothing.
It does.
No, it absolutely does not.
But it's not...
What's more difficult?
Is it more difficult to play in Sao Pedro Sula 4 o'clock or Malta?
What's more difficult? 1 out of 5 qualify.
Craig, what's more difficult?
3 out of 6.
No,
Wait, can we
stop
break
going
You
out
got
of 5.
Panama and Trinidad and Tobago.
You have Malta and Scotland.
You got Panama and Trinidad.
Malta
I mean, there are some
Scotland.
groups in UEFA that don't strike fear in anybody. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but you get 1 out of 5. You don't have an opportunity to make a mistake.
Well, that's why you have 1 out of 5, because there's lesser
There's no
competition.
doubt. There's no doubt. CONCACAF
Nonsense.
is more forgiving. I'll give you that.
Nonsense.
Let's
Malta.
Mexico are
Massive
average.
competition.
Malta.
I don't want
You just say
Let's not go
lesser
down this UEFA
competition.
CONCACAF road. I want to get back to Juan Carlos Osorio because you have defended him. You have defended him quite a bit. And let me just say this. In elimination games now, his teams are 0-2, and they've been outscored 11-1. And as Paul mentioned, there's not a lot of consistency. We give him credit. We talk a lot about these rotations.
But that's where I think
it hurt them today.
That's where I think Craig and Paul and Stevie are right. There's just a better level at some of these teams. There's just a better level. It's not about coaching. You can say the coach did this, coach did that. It's the players. It's 11v11. At some point, the cream rises, and you see the teams, you see the individual players and their talent that are actually better.
Is it?
This team, this German team, you put them in a World Cup, this exact German team, I think they have a good chance of competing in the knockouts.
I'm not saying that Mexico should win
It's
this
just a better
game.
team.
But to
It's
be
simple.
out of it 8 minutes in is a damning indictment.
That's what
I'm
a good
sorry.
team will do to you. They will take their chances
There was
and take them
5
well.
one-on-one breakaways on Memo showing
because
that.
they did well.
At the end of the day, there's ways to lose, right? And today, is it a worse way to lose? You get annihilated when you look at the scoreline. You get annihilated on the field, and anybody and everybody watching it is cringing because it's so easy.
And you left your best player on the bench. Defend that, Carlos Vela.
It's a coaching decision.
It's a rotation. It's a rotation.
But you can't sit here and tell me Germany's C team are worse than Mexico's A team. That's not the case.
It was the way that they played. We looked at the start there, and
hold on a minute.
surprising, Mexico had way more possession. But it's what they did with that possession. They didn't do anything with the possession.
Well, but 10 minutes into the game, it's 2-0. I throw possession totally out the window in a game like this. Germany allowed that possession. I mean, Mexico had the same possession against Portugal. You can't throw it out the window
because when you're in possession, that's when you're most dangerous. And unfortunately, Mexico played it way too slow.
And that's the type of team Germany is. They're a possession-based team.
And they couldn't break them down.
Germany is better. Germany was better in front of goal because they have better players. Germany is better coached. Germany has a better team. You're grasping for straws. Osorio lost to Chile, South American champion, and he lost to the World Cup champion. And I don't care if you call them a B or C team. It's a lot of good players.
Okay, so what's Osorio's...
It's not Neuer, it's not Müller, it's not Khedira,
Ter
it's not
Stegen,
Hummels.
it's Draxler.
I mean, we're talking about Germany's reserves here. And earlier on, we were talking a lot, watching the game. And
You were talking a lot. I was pretty quiet, actually.
Well, I was, you were taking the bait. I was reeling in a big fish. But you were saying Mexico are underrated, and I'm trying to say... They're not underrated.
I'm saying
they're just not very good at this level.
They're the most underachieving country in the world when it comes to soccer. If you look at the quality of what the league pays, the attendance of the league, the soccer culture, the population base alone, this team shouldn't be crashing out at the round of 16. They shouldn't be getting whitewashed by Chile and Germany. I mean, these are embarrassing results.
Listen, if it was down to population, then
US.
China would be world champions.
China, yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, but Mexico's not China. Don't disrespect like that. Mexico's been doing this for 100 years more than China.
I'm not disrespecting anybody. I'm saying if we're talking about population, China's got a huge population. It's down to quality.
So
no
Mexico
guarantee.
just doesn't have quality players?
No,
Mexico. No, I never said that. Mexico has
They've got a few
decent players,
yes,
but not maybe the standard that a lot of people think and expect.
Now, in your defense, Mexico is one of the few nations, I think only 4, that consistently have gotten into the next round of every World Cup since 1994. So they are one of 4. I think it's Germany, Brazil, Argentina. Well, so they have a very good standard about them. So you have a case when you say they underachieve at certain levels.
It is easier for them to get to the World Cup.
I'm sorry. We have to get back.
Hold on. Seb said that their best player, right, wasn't playing.
Yes.
Their best player plays for a mid-table La Liga side. So
that team should still be able to.
They
should still be able to compete with Germany's. What did you call it? Z team.
Oh, that was
B and C.
Yeah.
Okay, but they should be able to compete.
Yeah, but this B and C team can do a lot.
I'm sorry, that was not a competitive team.
But the thing is,
that falls on Osorio.
It goes back to his team selection, and it goes back to how he wants them to play. Because he afforded Germany so much time to get back in the set.
Yeah.
He just had the one guy high. Everybody was back behind the ball. It was too slow, the build-up.
You know what's most concerning for Mexico is not that they put on display versus Germany. It's that defensively they constantly put on this type of display. All tournament long they were on the back foot. They let.
You think that has to do with the fact that he's rotating the back line every other game?
It has a lot to do with familiarity. It has a lot to do with personnel. It has a lot to do with just overall.
Do you really think a different coach would have made a difference to this.
Yes, I think there's a much better coach for Mexico.
No, I think I'm with Stevie. I don't think the coach has anything to do with it.
The difference between these two sides today. You're telling me that a different coach.
I'll tell you what, the
would have
efficiency
changed
of the Germans. The Germans didn't
That's a good
bother
word,
about
efficiency.
You mentioned possession. Don't talk to me about possession.
No, not in this game.
Because it matters not a jot, really. They were so efficient in possession of the ball, and they were happy to sit off and keep a good shape and then just pick the holes. The second goal was an embarrassment. Anybody can lose a ball, and Mexico lost the ball. But then to allow that player to turn in the middle of the park,
reaction.
and then a runner, a midfield runner, went past 3 Mexican defenders and nobody went with that runner or even blocked him, tells you that they haven't got the mindset of the real top teams. And the German players, they're switched on. They know their job. They're not bothered about not having the ball for periods. They just get in, keep the shape, and play with their heads. That's the difference.
That's exactly what Mexico, didn't do. They didn't keep the shape.
Yeah.
When you look at the way that Germany rolled those balls in the back of the net, the shape of that back four. I mean, Stevie and I were watching it together. We were laughing at that back four. That was an embarrassing back four for a kids' team, never mind an international football team. I mean, the spaces that they were finding out wide in the box was ridiculous.
Now, you talk about the rotations and whatnot. How come you're not talking about Joaquim Lowe rotating so many players, bringing that BC team to the Confederations? It's because he's got that talent within that team that whoever he puts out there, he has confidence to get the job done. They're that good. There's a difference in talent level. I'm not saying Mexico's not very good because they're clearly the best in the Hex right now. And for whatever you may think of the Hex, they're clearly the best in this region, and they can compete when it comes to World Cup level against certain teams. But this is one of the best teams in the world, or programs.
I don't have a problem.
And best coach as well.
Yes.
Because you look at the way the German teams play, very, very similar.
It doesn't matter who's playing. That's the thing. They have an identity, and Mexico has none.
They roll it out the
By the
same.
way, I don't have a problem with the Hex before people jumping down my
nobody
throat.
says he did.
All right? And if people want to get on my back, then fine, I don't care. I don't have a problem with the Hex. I have a problem with people trying to tell me the Hex is tough. That's where I have a problem.
Oh, I'm not saying the Hex is tough by any means. I'm just saying...
Maybe you've been arguing with me.
No, I'm just saying it's
There's
not
a
as
different
bad as
argument
you say.
between the way it's done in Europe and the way it's done in CONCACAF versus the quality of the opposition. And that's
Correct.
where...
Too many Mexican haters on this couch today. Too many.
Oh, man, Simon. All right, so the final will be then Germany and Chile. Reminder, they tied 1-1 in the group phase. So, by the way, this Germany Z team, as you say, tied the two-time
It's going to be a
South
great
American
final.
champions.
Great
There you
final.
see it. Germany, 62%, according to the SPI. Welcome back to the show. I think we've worked out all of our issues over the second Confederations Cup semifinal. Let's go back to the first, because on yesterday's show, we were talking a little bit about whether you could change your penalty shootout order mid-shootout or not. Well, it turns out that you can.
Yes.
Yesterday on the show, what did you say? You would have had Ronaldo move up as a coach. Now, what would you do knowing that that's an option?
Knowing that that's an option, having missed the first 2 penalties, I would have moved Ronaldo to 3. And the reason I would have done that is because the reason I had him at 5 initially is because you reckon that that's the most important kick. It either wins you or loses you. And it's the same. After you've missed 2, you need somebody who has to score. So that's why I would have moved him to number 3.
Now, knowing this rule, you would have moved him to 3. My question is, there's a penalty for Portugal in regulation time, in those 90 minutes. Who takes it?
Ronaldo.
Ronaldo takes it. Have him go first. If he's the most important man and you know he's the guy who's going to take it anyways, have him go first. Transmit that confidence to the rest of your group. Who took it for Chile? Number 1.
Vidal.
He was going to take it anyways. That's the way you send a message. That's the way you put the good foot forward.
I know we can debate about where Ronaldo. we can debate about where Ronaldo should have taken a penalty kick.
So hold on a second. Hold on a second. Wait a minute. Hold on a second. So you put Ronaldo first, right?
Yes.
Who takes the most important one to win or lose it?
It doesn't matter. You get there. You get to that moment. You guarantee you get to that moment. If not, what happened? Cristiano, where's he now? He's on vacation. He's no longer in the tournament.
Right, but here's another side of it. You could argue about that all day, and right or wrong. I don't know. Is anybody arguing that if you need a penalty to win, you're sending up Nani?
If there was ever a picture of a guy lacking confidence.
He's running up as if he's running on broken glass to take the penalty.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just... Who was it that did that, the Italian that did that in the Euros? Was it...
Zaza.
Zaza?
Yes.
I mean, crazy run-up that, and then he misses.
The run-up was the best part.
See, here's the thing, and actually Craig said this yesterday. The reason you don't have Ronaldo at 1 is because you can get away with missing at 1 because you still have time to recover. Oh. The reason you save Ronaldo for when it matters most is when you're in a position where you have to put the ball in the back of the net.
You've played. This game is about confidence. But the moment you miss the first one, you're behind the 8 ball.
Hold on a second.
Cincinnati
can I just remind you of something?
Yes, sir.
I missed the first penalty in the Champions League final, and we won.
Oh.
So there's the proof. Proof's in the pudding.
Were you the designated PK penalty taker?
No, but the point is, you just hold on a second.
Oh,
you just said, well, if you miss, then you're screwed. You're not.
No, that's not what I said. I said you put your team in a good position with confidence. That's all I said.
Look, you can debate it till you're blue in the face, but if you look at the theory of Stevie, it does make a lot of sense. You hope that you have players that go first. You hope that they have the talent and the ability to bury it. Now, we know that doesn't always happen.
Well, Paul,
it's not an exact penalty is not an exact science. And don't tell me that it is. Yeah. Because when you get to that 5th penalty, if you get to the 5th penalty, you need nerves of steel. And who's the guy for that? Is usually your top guy. Now, it just so happens that Chile have got some really good penalty takers.
There's no guarantee.
And a goalie that was red hot.
And a goalie that was on fire.
And you're right. There's no guarantee Ronaldo scores. Yeah. You know,
you can only do so much.
But the man has over 100 goals scored in the penalties in his career. If there was one and you say this is the most important one to start off on the right foot, it's the first one. Chile went down that route and they won.
Are you saying that look, Ronaldo? I'm guessing that Ronaldo would have buried his pen, right? I mean, he normally does. But as a coach, he can't take 5 pens, so you've got to rely on your other boys, and you've got to get to that 5th penalty. And they weren't getting to that 5th penalty. So I think the solution that Stephen came up with moving him up, because they needed that goal, because they only scored the one. And
that makes total sense. That's a different question. Why didn't they move him to 3 is a totally different question.
I guess I can maybe pull it all the way down to the argument of which penalty is more important, the 1st or the 5th?
Well, you have to get to the 5th is what I'm saying.
But when you move him to the 3rd,
which one's the most important? Would you say the first penalty or the 5th is the most important?
Well, if you don't score the 1st, your chances of getting to the 5th are slim.
The other side of the coin is that, you know, I know Nani missed, João Moutinho missed, who's technically a very good player, very experienced. I can't remember who missed the first one. But the other side of the coin is when you've got a very experienced goalkeeper who's had a bad season but guesses the right way. Now, whether he's read the player or not, I don't know, or whether it's just
Claudio Bravo.
But he goes the right way and goes early. Once that happens, you pretty much can have anybody taking the penalties, and if he guesses the right way, you're done. You're done. I mean, it's not all luck, but there's a huge amount of it in terms of the goalkeeper makes a decision. So it was Bravo had a great day.
By the way, you're asking an Englishman about taking penalties.
I love that Stevie threw the Champions League final. I took a PK.
Oh, I never heard that
one, Stevie. That was brilliant.
Yeah, I missed that.
I'll tell you, it's still up there.
I never heard them say Champions League final. Did he mention he played in it? Did he mention anybody?
Played in 2, by the way.
We said we would argue we were blue in the face. There it is.
Sorry.
There it is.
I love it. I love
Trump card. All right, Herc, we got to let you go. Thanks for your time. Coming up on tomorrow's show, we'll have Stevie and Craig back. We'll also have Gab Marcotti joining us from the Confederations Cup in St. Petersburg. Check your local listings for where to find us. The numbers don't lie. When healthy, Gareth Bale at Real Madrid has been pretty productive. The trophies don't lie either. 3 Champions League trophies in 4 years at Real Madrid. And yet, guys, whenever he's brought up, there's always some little bit of lack of appreciation, I think, from the Real Madrid fans. He's 28 years old. He's done it. 4 years at the Bernabeu. Is it time for him to maybe consider moving to a place where he's a little more appreciated, Manchester United?
No, I don't think so. I think he's always going to be... I mean, even Ronaldo himself's had a bit of stick from the Madrid fans last season. Then he came on strong at the end. So, no, I don't think so. Injury problems, not as good a season as last. But big game player, as we know, and plenty left in the tank.
Paul?
I think he's got to have a word with Zidane. Zidane's got to be honest to him and say, look, if I'm so far down the pecking order, I need to know, because I'm 28 years of age, as you say, next month. And I think he needs to move on. I really do. I think he's a fantastic player. He's a difference maker. He's a big game player. I think it's time for him to move.
Stevie, you think it's time?
No, I don't. I think part of the problem with the Spanish fans is aesthetically he's not what they like to see. You know, he's all pace and power and strength, and they're used to they're used to a more cultured type of player, I would suggest. I think that's why he gets a hard time. And as far as leaving Madrid, I would sooner see Benzema go, and then that way you can play everybody else. So absolutely no way Gareth Bale should stay.
When you see him at full fitness, running down the middle of the park or in the right or the left, I mean, it's fantastic to watch. And as Stevie said, it's a different facet to the Real Madrid.
Should United break the bank for him? Should United break the bank?
Well, I tell you what, if I knew he wasn't going to have too many injury problems and I had the money, I'd try and sign him. I would. But if I'm Real Madrid and I've got issues over Ronaldo, I'm not sure I'm in a rush to get rid of him.
All right, well, look, if he does transfer to Manchester United, you know where you'll find out about it? ESPNFC.com. All your transfer talk all summer on our website.
Okay, Kevin, for the grand prize of $1 million, what color is the White House?
I know this.
5 seconds.
Oh, switching to Geico could save you a bunch of money on car insurance?
Okay. Judges? That's true, Kevin. They'll allow it. Congratulations. You're a winner.
Woo!
Geico, because saving 15% or more on car insurance is always a great answer.
Despite some disagreement on the couch from time to time, Romelu Lukaku's numbers sure are impressive. There you see last season, 25 goals in 37 games played for Everton. Paul, you just returned from England. What's the latest from the rumor mill over there about where Lukaku might end up? Huh? Give us some breaking news.
Well, it's just that my mate, who's the sporting director now at Everton, and I had a good chat with him. They're going to spend a lot of money this summer. They feel as though it's time that they broke into that top four. It's a big ask, but that's what Ronald Koeman and the staff want to do. So they've had bids for Lukaku, mainly from Manchester United and Chelsea. It's a lot of money. I personally wouldn't be paying that sort of money. They think they can hold out for it, but they're already adding to the squad. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see if they do improve, and I think they will improve.
Sounds like Diego Costa pretty much out at Chelsea. That would be the most obvious fit. Chelsea, Everton. How does that weigh out?
Well, you go to Chelsea, but I mean, you know, the pressure of playing for teams that are in the Champions League and going for the league to a team that's ultimately finishing 6th or 7th is a lot different. And it's whether he can handle that pressure on a weekly basis rather than the less pressure he had at Goodison, which is clearly factual.
Stevie, you think he can handle it?
I don't think he can. You know, it's the likes of Everton play a certain way. And basically, he has carte blanche in the attacking third, where he has lots of space to run at people, use his power and his strength, and score goals. That's not how Chelsea play. You know, there's a lot more passing. It's a lot more intricate. There's less space for sure. You know, I don't see how this guy's going to be so good with his back to goal, 25 yards out, try to play little 1-2s with Hazard. We saw how great a connection Costa and Hazard had. I don't see that with Lukaku. So, listen, if they're asking a lot of money and Chelsea pay it, I'm not sure he lives up to the billing.
Paul, do you see such a difference, Lukaku at Everton versus Lukaku at Chelsea, and what the output would be?
I do. I think it's the spaces that he's going to have to operate in. I think that, as the lads say, the way that teams will play against Chelsea, or if he goes to United, the way that they play against those teams, then it's the space in which he's going to have to work, and those are tight spaces.
Romelu Lukaku, only time will tell. That's all the time we've got on this show. For Craig Burley, Paul Mariner, Stevie Nicol, I'm Sebastian Salazar. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time right here on ESPN FC. All right, time for a little FC debate then. We got the Confederations Cup final coming up. Chile, Germany.
Have we not debated enough in this show today already? I mean, it's been a right
I feel like
argument.
we've been going at it quite a bit.
Oh.
There's the SPI. It says 62% Germany to win, 38% for Chile, who have won 2015 Copa America, 2016 Copa Centenario. Not getting a lot of respect. Craig, start with you. What do you think of the final?
Right. We've had one or two discussions today. Would we agree that Chile are a better side than Mexico?
Yes.
Right, I think that's
100%.
Not even close.
You know, maybe an obvious statement, but I think that's a little harsh on that SPI.
Yes.
Well, not harsh, I'm sure
Yes.
they're not bothered, but I think it's swaying a little bit too much in Germany's favour, considering the talent level of the Chilean team, particularly the key players. However, second team or not, we saw how Germany can be just as efficient with the reserve side against half-decent Mexican team. So, yeah, where am I going with this?
Who are you picking?
Oh, you want to know who I'm picking? Oh, I'm sorry.
Picking Germany.
Do you know
He's going Germany.
He's got it.
Yeah, he's going
All right,
Germany.
Chile are kind of masters of finals. Do we not give them any credit for that?
I'll go with Chile on this one, purely because it is a reserve German team.
Yeah.
I mean, they can't beat Mexico and Chile, surely.
Well, you have to go with Chile by the way they're playing. I think they're playing a better standard. I know today the German team was very efficient in front of the Mexican net, but did you see him against Cameroon, a 10-man Cameroon? I mean, Cameroon had their chances, scored. They made him look awfully silly at times. I don't think today's result is an indication of how bad or good Germany is. You know, I think Chile can stand in their own right, and I don't think the SPI is correct. I think Chile is going to give a very good fight, and I'm taking Chile. It would not surprise me to see Chile win this.
I think the key is what you just said, though, Herg. I think it's the way that Chile play going forward. I think that they play at a different pace. And when we saw Cameroon actually, with 10 men, actually break down this German side, that was quite impressive. So they can be hurt on defensive set pieces. You know, Mexico today had clear headers on goal. So there's a little bit of frailty there as far as Germany's concerned. But I'm fascinated to see if Alexis Sanchez has still got that juice in his legs. I mean, the amount of football that guy's plays, at the level that he plays, I hope he has, because I think it'll make a much better spectacle. So the key for me is if Chile can get after Germany in that attacking third, I think they'll cause problems. But I think both teams will score goals. So I'm going to lean towards Chile a little bit.
Wow, we got 3 Chile. This isn't much of a debate unless you go Germany.
Do Chile. Who did you go with?
He went Chile.
He said Chile.
Did you go Chile? I'll tell you what,
Wasn't that long ago, was it? How's your memory? Well, don't forget.
Or was he, the better question is, was he paying attention?
If ever a game was set up for a team, this is set up for Germany.
Why?
Well, because we've just sat and watched them, and we've all said the same thing about the efficiency of the Germans.
They won't get the same chances that they got against Mexico.
Have you
I'll tell you
seen
that
Chile
right now.
defending, by the way?
Not like
Give
Mexico.
yourself a shake. I'll tell you what, they're murder at the back.
Give yourself
Are
a
they
shake.
good
I don't
going
even know what that
forward?
means.
Yes, they are.
Means
But I'll
wake
tell you
up.
what, they leave holes for fun. And if there's one team in this tournament takes advantage of anybody leaving in them for them, it's Germany.
He's angry.
And that's why Germany's going to win.
He's angry.
Stevie, I don't think Chile
I'm not
are
angry.
as bad as you're making out defensively.
I mean, we've seen them in
think
major
what-
tournament
they give up this
finals
tournament.
against
Yeah,
a
Gary
loaded
Medel.
Argentina side time and time again, deliver defensively.
I think what
Gary
you should-
Medel walks into any team in the world, yeah, right.
I didn't
Who?
say that, but they
Well,
work well in...
Centre back.
But it's
I thought
what's
it should be
around
Vidal.
it. But it's what's around it. They get around him. That's the secret to that for the coach playing in that position. I don't think they're that bad. I think this is why this game is set up to be a really
Should be a
good
great game.
encounter.
I mean,
It should be.
what we should factor in as well, I suppose, is that Chile played 120 minutes and Germany had a rest.
Aye. Well, that's a bit harsh, but they did.
Oh, they had a rest. So they
not far
played
from the
120 minutes
Well, it
and Germany
matters.
played a friendly.
No, it doesn't.
Right?
Ooh.
They did. They were cruising.
Yes.
All right, so we got 3 picks for
I'm
Chile
still going for Chile, yeah.
and 1 for Germany.
Yeah.
One angry pick for Germany.
Yeah, angry.
Very, very angry pick.
Has he mentioned the Champions League final yet?
Germany.
Zach, who are you
Sound
picking?
angry.
Who are you picking?
Can I get a pick in?
Yeah, who are you
Yeah.
picking? Oh, Jesus.
Oh, you have to.
Wait a sec.
Right, we're done.
Thanks for watching.
Done.
Mexico. That's what I picked. Boo. All right, welcome into Extra Time. Hashtag FC Extra Time if you want to get us your questions. This first one is a shot across the bow, thanks Twitter, from Mark. Who's better at failing to live up to expectations? Arsenal or Mexico?
Oh.
Thanks, Craig.
That's a roof.
That's tough for you because you...
Well, I'm not a Mexican expert, so a historian, I don't know.
You're an Arsenal expert. No. You should just nod yes and say no.
I think you did. Yeah.
Well, Arsenal have had quite a lot of success. They've won the FA Cup recently.
Yep.
They were very successful domestically, winning the league, particularly when Wenger first came in. So,
Well, Mexico is successful domestically.
We're not talking about success, though. We're talking about failing to live up to expectations.
well,
I
is,
think-
is there really those expectations from Mexico? I suppose in
You're saying, are the
Mexico there is-
expectations fair?
Outside of CONCACAF.
No, yeah, exactly. Outside of or outside of Mexico, for that matter. Yeah.
You don't think they're a little bit of an underachiever?
No, I do, but
I just
think
love
it's
when
very
Hugo
fair
Sanchez
statement.
used to do those flips. So that's all I know about Mexico.
All right, does Germany's C team making the final comfortably confirm how the Confederations Cup is a moot tournament, as Craig Burley, ESPN, always claims?
Oh, it's not a C team to begin with.
No,
What
it's
is it?
not.
B?
You know, it's easy.
There were 15 players that were in the Euros from this team.
They got 5 players that should have been with the U21s.
They got good players, good young players, then is what you're telling me.
Well,
I think it's unfair to call them a C team.
But does it?
Well, our German colleague, Ralf Honigstein, called them the C team-ish.
Half of that team, well, put it this way, half of that team won't be in the squad for the World Cup.
I think it says less about
So that
the
tells
Confed
you-
Cup and more about Germany's talent.
Exactly.
I mean, I don't know what it has to do
The
with
tournament has been able, Joachim Löw, to bring his players through in that tournament environment. That's what it's all about.
Why are you laughing?
Joachim Löw.
I thought it was a game effort. I thought it was a good effort.
Joachim Löw.
How do you say it in Scottish?
Hold on, get the subtitles.
Jock Love.
Subtitles ready.
Jock Love's done a great job.
All right, Herc, I'll come to you on this one. But Stevie, I want your input as well. From Ernesto on Twitter. Is it time to fire Osorio?
I mean, why'd you hire him? What are his main objectives?
Not to lose 7-0 to Chile and not to lose 4-1
It's to get out of the hex and it's to compete in the World Cup. Okay, it's not to come win Confederations. It's not to come
Germany and Chile won't be in the World Cup?
Hold on. Compete.
Sorry.
I didn't say win. Compete.
Do you think it's time to fire him?
I think it's time to seriously consider it. I don't want them to, though.
You say it with so much pain.
I know, because I hate when they fire coaches over and over and over again.
You two have cracked me up today.
I'm like torn about it. I'm angry at the moment because
I tell you what, I've never seen a man so angry for so long in that room before.
Well, it didn't help that you were in there sticking a knife in my back.
Don't talk about Memo Ochoa, the goalkeeper, the Mexican goalkeeper.
You guys wanted to blame Ochoa. The Germans were walking in on him time after time. What do you mean, Memo?
Oh, dear.
I think you haven't got me for it.
Because you're ready to go at Memo.
All I said to you was,
He gets relegated
he shouldn't have
everywhere
been
he goes.
standing on his line all game.
Oh,
If he'd
fair.
come off his line,
That's fair.
then he could have.
Right,
What a day.
right. Then they would have won.
David, what
Then
could
they
he have
would have
done?
won.
Nothing.
Yeah, but then he would have been able to do
I tell you what, this couldn't have worked out better today. Who's in?
No. I mean, some sly
I reckon-
scheduling there.
I heard you were off and you asked to be on it.
That's a first, too.
I was off until the 10 minutes into the game, and then I asked to come in.
It
It was
drove
all Mexico were getting
Actually, good job. Cho's out. Would have been out for the final anyway. He's got injured his neck.
From what?
Keeps going like that.
So funny.
Oh.
All right, one more here. Would Marco Asensio start for every Premier League club? Stevie, what do you think?
Yes.
Fair chance, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, he's just.
Your name's Stephen.
Oh, sorry.
Hey, he's missed a
Well, we can
penalty in
all-
the Champions
we
League
can
final.
all-
Would he start for
And
every
they still
Premier
won.
League club?
And they
Maybe
still
the
won.
better question is list the teams that he wouldn't start for.
What, a few.
West Brom.
How would that be easier?
That he wouldn't start for?
Yeah, he's knocking it down for you. He's doing you a favour.
I know, yeah. I know.
Who would he start for?
Who would he
I think
not?
I've just confused him.
I tell you what, I'm not.
He might not
I'm
start
trying
at
to come up-
Chelsea.
Yeah.
Might not start at Chelsea at
Mike,
the moment.
Yeah.
I think he fit in quite nicely.
City.
Willie and Pedro Hazard.
Yep.
He's got to get ahead of those to start.
City.
Start ahead of Pedro?
Yeah.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Jesus, Manny, Aguero. Does he get ahead of one of them?
He's a good player.
But the point is, we're struggling. Because the majority of teams, at least, he would start in.
Did you-
Yes.
Did you just mix up Mane and Sané?
No, we didn't.
Okay. We'll
You
check
clean
the.
your- you clean your ears out.
We'll
You
check
two
the
need a
tape
room.
later.
Huh? You two need a room.
Maybe we need a show, Stevie. You want to hang out with me more?
Oh, I don't think-
No, you're all right.
I don't think I've laughed as much.
I'm all right.
All right, I'm out of FC Extra Time questions and patience as well. ESPN FC, catch us Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern on ESPN News.